Good morning and welcome to the channel. We are going to go over today how you can improve some of the handling on your CJ. This CJ here has got a 2.5 to 3 inch lift using Old Man Emu YJ conversion kit and springs. You can see there's a pretty good angle on that Draglink. So what we're going to look at doing is we're going to flip the mount of the Draglink to the top of the knuckle. Now, the same flip method that we're going to use for the Draglink can also be used for the tie rod, which would raise that tie rod up almost 3 inches to give you extra clearance and get the tie rod up and out of harm's way. Now, this CJ is not really going to be used for any serious rock crawling. Probably won't see anything other than some dirt roads, so I'm not concerned with the tie rod, but I definitely want to go ahead and flip that Draglink. That will bring the Draglink to the top of the knuckle, and it will sit not as level as the tie rod, but pretty darn close. And that will definitely help with steering and handling on road. Now, the parts that I got are from a company called OK 4-Wheel Drive. It is a tapered sleeve that once you take the tie rod out, there's a reamer that will then, you then will ream the hole. Let me just open this up, sorry about that. And then you will ream the hole from the top. And then fit the taper in up from the bottom, and it basically just reverses the taper. The reamer, it's an X-Cut number 5952, 1.5 inch taper per foot. I forget what exactly the measurements are. I think it's like 7/16 to 1 inch. So we're going to go ahead and jack up the passenger side front of the Jeep, take the front tire, the passenger side front tire off, disconnect the Draglink. Then we're going to go ahead and go through the steps on how you go ahead and run this taper in and ream it, get this piece to fit. There are directions from a company called Rock Equipment, or it's which I guess is OK 4-Wheel Drive's division. You know, we'll have to mark the reamer, ream the material out, fit the insert in, and then that will allow us to turn around and flip that Draglink right over to the top of that knuckle. So we're going to go ahead and get set up for that. Be right back. Okay, so we've got our access ready here. We're going to be working on the Draglink. So our first thing we're going to have to do is take this nut off, pop the tie rod out. Then the next step they say is you're going to take your reamer, you're going to come up from the bottom, mark where it hits the knuckle with some tape, and then you're going to pull it out, move the tape slightly down toward the tip of the reamer, and then you'll start reaming from the top. Now this is just a crude measurement because you'd rather take out too little material and then gradually take out more as needed than just assume that, okay, you need a certain amount of material and take out too much. Because if you take out too much, you will essentially make these little fittings that go in. It would be too loose. You basically make the knuckle unusable. And then you'd have to go to something where you'd have to drill this out and get a sleeve that's tapered that you can tack weld in to do it. But this is a very simple process. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go and get this Draglink disconnected, and then we will mark the reamer and go from there. So the tie rod is out, and basically, as you can see, this little taper piece will end up coming up from the bottom and it'll fit flush, and you'll be tapering from the other side, and you're going to end up creating a wedge in the inside of here where the taper comes down, and sandwiching that in there, and so this way it doesn't pull through and it will be just as solid as stock. But what they say to start with is we have to stick the reamer up into the hole and then mark where it bottoms out with a piece of tape or Sharpie. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and we'll come right back on. Okay, so we have it marked, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this down slightly. And what they say is you can obviously always take off more material you can't put back. So they say you use this to give you your rough measurement, checking along the way. And what you're going to end up doing is you're going to take that fitting, and as you get close, at some point you should be able to drop that fitting into the top, and it should stick up about 1/64 of an inch. And that should be where you need to be. And then you can put your tie rod in from the top, and I guess that little bit of extra it's sticking out will be your crush or your compression. So I have the tool mounted in a tapping ratchet that I have, and we're going to go ahead and start reaming this out. As you can see, you're really not taking a whole lot of material out. Now they did tell me at OK Four-Wheel Drive to not do this with a drill. They said to definitely do it by hand, because they said if you run it in with a drill, you will definitely take out way too much material. I know the reamer's cutting in there. Doesn't feel like it's doing much, but it is going in. Okay. All right, so we keep reaming, and it is kind of a slow process. I'm sure if you've done this before, it might be a little faster, or once you get to your second or third one, and then I'm taking the piece, dropping it in from the top, and as you can see, it does drop in a little bit, maybe about 1/8 of an inch, but still has a bit of a ways to go. Another thing you can do as well is take your tie rod and drop it in. See, okay, once we get the taper to start to set, you can see that the taper has to go down quite a bit more into there. Okay, so we're going to keep on reaming. Okay, we're definitely getting deeper. I added a little Kroll oil to it just to hopefully make the cutting a little easier. I'm taking my time and going real slow with it, but it does cut pretty quickly. I just don't want to overcut it. And we are definitely getting deeper, as you can see here. Almost there. Okay, I think we are just about there. Maybe just a couple more rotations, but I'm going to actually test fit it with the tie rod and see if the tie rod completely seats down and we have enough coming through the bottom to be able to fit a castle nut and thread on good and tight. As you can see there, I don't know if that's going to focus in. I'm going to try, there you go. You can see that the tie rod needs to go in just a little bit deeper. Okay, I think we are there. It has just a little bit of a lip. You can see it just has just a little edge. You can just catch it with your finger. So it's just protruding just slightly. Nut. There we go. Got that out. Now we're going to go ahead and fit the tie rod in. And as you can see, I think that seats all the way down. Okay, so with that being in place, as you can see, now that's going to suck down a little bit once we put the fitting in and we put the castle nut on the bottom. Let's get down onto the ground. And you can see how much it flattens out your Draglink. We've got plenty of thread for our castle nut. So I think we are good. We're going to go ahead and put the piece into the bottom. Actually, I'm going to pop this out and I'm going to just clean the hole up, make sure there's nothing in there. And then we're going to come back and put this together. Okay, with our tie rod in place, okay, we now have the fitting down on the bottom, and obviously you push it in with the more open end going up toward the taper. Then the castle nut, it's going to protrude out just a little bit. As you can see, it kind of pops right out there, but what's going to happen is as you torque this, it's gonna suck it together inside, compress it. It's gonna force that piece up in there, and it's gonna tighten up that taper and make that nice and secure. So I'm gonna go ahead and torque this down, and then we'll show you what the final product looks like. All right, got that fully torqued. That thing is nice and tight in there. What I guess they're concerned with is if you go too deep, this will sink in too far. And you probably get a wobble. You probably never really get a full seat on that taper. But it's nice and tight. And that's it. That completes flipping this. Like I said, as you can see, it definitely changed the angle of our Draglink. You're going to have to recenter your steering wheel because bringing it up will shorten the Draglink down a little bit. And as well, you can do this same procedure and flip the tie rod up and bring the tie rod up onto the top of the knuckle as well. Like I said, it gives you about 3 inches of extra clearance. I'm going to keep mine where it is because I want to be able to use a factory OEM style steering stabilizer on this CJ. And if at a later date I feel that the tie rod's going to be in the way, I'll flip it up. But at this stage, I just want the Draglink for the drivability. All right, thank you very much for watching. I hope this helps anybody that might be looking into this. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them below. If you like what we're doing, please like and subscribe. Thank you very much and have a great day.